We anticipate in the next 10 to 12 years, approximately 8 to 6 million Hispanics coming into the United States and 41 million Asians. You have been the majority minority for 400 years in this country. You have been the number 2 population for 400 years. You're going to get kicked out of being number 2. You're going to go down and become number 4. Now, common sense, even a third grade education would tell you, if you didn't get anything when you were number 2, you all jumped ahead of me, but anyway, you can guess what you're going to get when you become number 4.
President Biden, do you support reparations?
Well, let me, since I haven't spoken on this, get a chance. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil. We have 24 of every 100 children in our school today is Hispanic. The idea that we are going to walk away and not provide every opportunity for them is not only stupid and immoral, but it's bad for America. They are the future of America.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. And this is what we are faced with. And this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
We are owed $104 trillion on the very low end, plus $735 billion recurring. This number does not include the cost of about 50 Black Wall Streets that were decimated, nor compound interest from 2017 when Sean D. Rochester's book, The Black Tax, was published, nor the cost of Black life, nor the cost of living increases, nor the war on drugs, nor the current day pandemic. The number I'm working with is for slavery, Jim Crow, and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives. What's up, family? I want to thank y'all so much for jumping on this live. You know, I am in the middle of work, so I can't come to you as I normally do, live and in the flesh, but I sure appreciate you joining me. I'm in between court cases, so I thought I'd share. You know, I am just... I'm feeling like the rest of the country right now, especially where freedmen are concerned. Very much in my feelings about the ethno-genocide of freedmen all throughout the freaking country. And I just had to jump on here because I'm scheduled to come to you live about the Missouri 666 bill that is pretty much trying to make lynching us in Missouri legal. And also an expansion of stand your ground laws to make more of what Kyle Rittencracker did during the Black Lives Matter protests, to make it legal, to pretty much execute us for marching on behalf of Black Lives to Matter. That's coming to you at 3 o'clock. But I had to get on here and express, you know, my frustration and my anger, which is a shared sentiment spread throughout the country, that what the execution of Amir Locke, like, I am very unsettled, as we all are. And I just wanted to share the sentiments of the people on the ground. I found a video that I wanted to share with you guys, and then I want to give some commentary about how we are back here, yet again, and just to try to give some context to what I believe this is all about. So let me share my screen. Welcome to the live, one and all. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Thank you for joining me.
Hey, ho, ho! Amelia Huffman, there's blood on your hands! Amelia Huffman! There's blood on your hands! Amelia Huffman! There's blood on your hands! Minneapolis Police! There's blood on your hands! Amelia Huffman! There's blood on your hands! Mark Hanneman! There's blood on your hands! MPD! There's blood on your hands! Mike Freeman! There's blood on your hands! Amelia Huffman! There's blood on your hands! MPD! There's blood on your hands! Amelia Huffman! There's blood on your hands! Jacob Fry! There's blood on your hands! Jacob Fry! There's blood on your hands! Amelia Huffman! There's blood on your hands! Amelia Huffman! There's blood on your hands! 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 There's blood on your hands!
So these are the protesters outside Amelia Huffman, who is the standing chief of police.
If we don't get no justice, they don't get no peace. If we don't get no justice, they don't get no peace. If we don't get no justice, they don't get no peace. If we don't get no justice, they don't get no peace. If we don't get no justice, they don't get no peace. So as we stand outside of Amelia Huffman's residence, I want y'all to know, and I want y'all to take a good look at the other houses around here. Look at these houses. If we don't get no justice, they certainly won't get any peace. And you're listening, you're in a city right now that actively pulls up upon elected officials and people that are part of the Minneapolis Police Department and that are complicit in the predation of black men and our community members, gunning them down with impunity, and then leaving press conferences early, saying nothing. That's that bullshit. Somebody say enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. And the least she can do right now is be fired or resign. She has to go. Amelia Huffman has to go. If we don't get no justice, they don't get no peace. If we don't get no justice, they don't get no peace. If we don't get no justice, they don't get no peace. If we don't get no justice, they don't get no peace. Amelia Huffman has been a police officer since 1994. That's a very long time. She's seen a lot of murders. She's seen a lot of police brutality. She's seen a lot of different police chiefs. She should know better than to try to trial out rhetoric that would blame Amir Locke for sleeping and waking up and reaching for his gun. They said that raid lasted no longer than 9 seconds. But for Amir Locke, he only had 2 waking seconds. 2 waking seconds before he understood what was going on. And in those 2 seconds, nobody said that they were police. Within those 2 seconds that he was waking up, they kicked it. They came into his door. They shouted. They kicked the couch, and then they shot that man as if he was less than human. And here we are yet again. And if we gotta pull up the Lake of the Isles, then we gotta pull up the Lake of the Isles. If they want to raid apartment buildings, then and they want to live in $500,000 residences or more, then we got to pull up to the land of the rich. Then we got to do that. Because this is unacceptable for a mayor and an interim police chief to leave a press conference early, not take questions, act like business as usual, go by the status quo, run out of lies, run out of stories to tell you, and then act as if they are going to go back to work. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
Amelia Huffman, the least she can lose right now is her job. It's not a life. Nobody here is getting hurt or anything. We're asking for her job. Because it seems like the only time they pay attention is when it affects their jobs or their money. But we pull up when it affects our lives. Amir Locke, they said he was a deep sleeper. And as I said before, had less than 2 waking seconds to understand what was going on. If you were asleep, somebody kicked the couch and said, motherfucker, get on the ground with the gun pointed at you, think of how you would react. And he had the sense of mind to grab his gun in a safe manner. No finger on the trigger. Didn't pull the safety down. Within 2 seconds, he exerted more professionalism than Mark Hanneman did in his entire career. I'll say that again. That 22-year-old young black man exerted more professionalism in 2 seconds of just waking up out of deep sleep than Mark Hanneman did in his entire career. So you're all wondering what's going to happen next. And I'm wondering the same thing too. And I don't know what's going to happen. But I know what I want to happen. We need new leadership. We need change. We need something to replace what's happening right now. You would have thought that after they murdered George Floyd in cold blood, this was the impetus and the origin and center of an international movement, that something would have changed, that people would have known better. Some people have left their jobs. Many police have resigned. Bob Kroll's now a lobbyist. Arredondo's somewhere on South Beach enjoying the sun. And we're still dealing with the same old bullshit. Back here with young black men getting shot at 6:48 in the morning. Amelia Huffman, the least she can do is lose her job. And the least that this neighborhood can do is turn up out of your warm $500,000 or $2 million home, come down here and hold your murderous cat neighbor accountable. Y'all can come out here too. Y'all can come out here too. Seriously, y'all can come out here as well. Amelia Huffman has got to go. Hey, 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 hey.
Amelia Huffman has got to go.
Hey, hey.
Ho, ho. Amelia Huffman has got to go.
Hey, hey. Ho, ho.
Amelia Huffman has got to go.
Hey, hey. Ho, ho.
Amelia Huffman has got to go. Hey, hey.
Listen.
Ho, ho.
Listen.
Amelia Huffman has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho.
Listen.
Amelia Huffman has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Amelia Huffman has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Amelia Huffman has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Amelia Huffman has got to go.
Hey, hey. Listen. Ho, ho. Listen.
Amelia Huffman has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Amelia Huffman has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Amelia Huffman has got to go.
Travis, you want to talk about what brings you out here today?
We outside Amelia Huffman's house, interim police chief. We're here for Amir Locke. He was murdered 3 miles away from where George Floyd was murdered, in a city where the world thinks so much progress and change has happened.
Please turn your flashers off so your
We've gone
cars do not
backwards.
die.
We've only gotten
Make sure you
worse.
turn the flashers
Black
off on
people
your
keep
cars so
getting
they do
killed.
not die.
In 66 days, 3 people was murdered by police. All 3 was black men.
Say his name. 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 We're going to call up our first speaker to speak outside of Amelia Huffman's house to share a getaway of family supporting families against police violence. Give it up to cheer, y'all.
I first want to thank all of you guys for consistently coming out here to fight with our families. The people that are traumatized really bad when something like this happens. Our families go through a range of emotions, and it reminds us of what happened to the people that we love. Dante Wright, mother, right now, she's triggered. Philando Castile's mother, Kim Handy Jones, myself, Amity, the mother of Kobe Heisler, Marilyn Hill, Matilda Smith, the mother of Jeffrey Smith. Our families are very, very traumatized right now. And they're in a huge amount of pain. And one thing to remember is that there is a lot of lives that was stolen that led up to Emir. And these people refused to make the changes that was needed so that there would not be an Amir Locke. Our families were in the Capitol pleading for legislation change, meaning change the rules that allowed this stuff to happen, and they refused to do it last session. We cannot forget, guys, that when we have to mention, we need to mention Emir's name and all of the names, because we need to prove that we're in a state of emergency.
Listen!
And when we mention all the names, it shows the severeness of what's going on. Because it's a bunch of people that led up to Emir that they let die in this state, and they did not do anything about it. They would not change the legislation. They would not change the laws and the rules that allowed this to happen. And they want to minimize the problem. They don't want people to understand the state of emergency that we're in here in the state of Minnesota. Dante Wright just got murdered. And we were just out here fighting for him. And now they do this. We were in the middle of George Floyd's the Chauvin trial when Dante Wright got killed.
Listen!
Now we got the 3 other officers that helped kill Dante Wright on trial right now downtown St. Paul for the federal case in the courthouse downtown St. Paul. And while that's going on, they killed Amir. Let me tell you guys something. This has been happening. It's been happening. It's just now being publicized. It's bodies like Justin Tigan and Jeffrey Smith and Cordell Handy and Marcus Golden that nobody knows about or talks about. But we gonna hold these motherfuckers accountable for all of them. For all of them. So guess what, y'all? We gonna hold her accountable, and we going to St. Paul. St. Paul was a part of this shit because they knew that Minneapolis was incompetent, and they knew that they would carry out their dirty work on their behalf. So there's no way that we can leave them out. We going over to St. Paul. We going over to that Capitol. We going to the St. Paul police. And all these motherfuckers are going to be held accountable for this shit. Because all of them have caused this pain that our families got to go through. That Dante Wright brother got to go through. That I, as the mother of Justin Tigan's son, I have to go through and watch my son go through. There's mothers out here hurting, and all of these motherfuckers are accountable. And we gonna hold all of them accountable because St. Paul is sitting there real quiet right now because they know that the pressure is on the Minneapolis police. Well, guess what? We coming. We coming. We coming for every last one of them. Them legislators in that Capitol, we in the middle of a legislation session right now, y'all, where they're passing bills. We gotta make them pass police accountability bills because I'm telling you, this is beautiful where we can come out here and shout, but until the rules change, the laws change, ain't shit gonna change. It's gonna keep happening. You wanna know why? Because the same system is still in place that allowed this to happen to Emir. The same system is still, just because you get 2 officers off the street, Derek Chauvin and the bitch Kim Potter, just because you get them 2 off the street,
You ain't do nothing for the rest of the hundreds of officers that are still out here. So, what do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! For whom? Amir Locke! For whom? Amir Locke! For whom? Amir Locke! Say his name! 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 Amir Locke!
So these are the protesters outside the interim chief of police in Minneapolis home. I'm just feeling the people, and I'm just here in my California home protesting in spirit with them.
I know it's cold. I will try to be brief. Amir Locke's death was preventable. George Floyd, Dalal Eid, Dante Wright, Winston Smith, Linnell Frazier, and now Amir Locke. And these are only some of the most recent names, some of the most recent lives that have been taken. All of these deaths were preventable. But they keep happening because there's never meaningful policy change. There is never proactive change, and any changes that do happen are signed with the blood of Black and brown bodies. How many more of us are they going to murder in our sleep? How many more setups? How many more executions? So many of us live with the narrative that if you do everything right, you might be okay. We tell the young Black men in our lives that we love to not be out too late, to keep good company, no sudden movements, stay in school, be respectful, keep your hands in sight. The list is endless. But the problem has always been with the system and the white supremacy and the white violence that it upholds and enforces. There's nothing I can tell the youth in my life to prepare them to not be murdered in their sleep. If the system refuses to protect us, then we need to change the system ourselves. We need community control of the police. We need for our communities to be able to determine how they are policed. We need to be able to hold police accountable for their choices. We need for the people most affected by police brutality to drive the solution. CPAC is how we fight back and how we protect ourselves, our communities, and our loved ones. Until then, we are demanding that Mark Huffman be fired and prosecuted. We are demanding a resignation from Jacob Fry. We are demanding a resignation from Amelia Huffman. Jacob Fry, Amelia Huffman, Peter Cahill, Mark Hanneman. There's blood on all of your hands! It's on your hands! Say his name! Amir Locke! 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 Say his name!
Amir Locke!
Give it up for Kelly, y'all.
Okay.
St. Paul wanted to commission a warrant to go into the Bolero Flats, and they said they didn't want a no-knock, but MPD insisted on a no-knock, so then the St. Paul Police Department was forced to make a no-knock. Judge Cahill signed off on the no-knock warrant to enter the Bolero Flats. Judge Cahill also signed off on the warrant to invade Dalal Eid's family's house and have them zip-tied and have the property destroyed. You understand how everything goes hand in hand in hand. Then Jacob Fry runs for re-election, and what are one of the neighborhoods that stood for him most? A neighborhood like this one. So a neighborhood like this one should justly get desserts because they voted for a man that had the same status quo and business as usual, trial out, and now it's pulling up to their neighborhood. What they wanted is what they got. They got more of the same, so we pull up to more of the failure to lead. We pull up to more of the failed elected officials, more of the failed police members. They voted for it. They got it. We're here.
Say his name. Say his name. Say his name. Say his name. And just days after George Floyd was murdered, 2 officers that rolled around in an unmarked cargo van shooting at protesters were in Bolero Flats. So you get more of the same dirty cops, more of the same product, more of the same police brutality that you voted in last time. So again, it is only right that they get what they voted for. They get the same product, they get the same BS, and they get us pulling up to their doorstep. Give it up, y'all, for Brandon Tulloch coming up next to speak. Let's go, Brandon!
So I'm going to say it loud, say it clear, then y'all say, we want justice for Amir.
Say it loud, say it clear. We want justice for Amir. Say it loud, say it clear. We want justice for Amir. Say it loud, say it clear. We want justice for Amir. Say it loud, say it clear. We want justice for Amir. Scream it loud, scream it clear. We want justice for Amir. Scream it loud, scream it clear. We want justice for Amir. Say his name. Amir Locke. Say his name. Amir Locke. Say his name. Amir Locke. Scream his name. Amir Locke. Scream his name. Amir Locke. Scream his name.
I just want to make sure that everybody in this neighborhood knows exactly why the fuck we are here. You have to hear his name. You have to know who lives in this building, in this house. You have to know who lives in this house, in this neighborhood. What I want to say today is, being a black man, being a black person in America, we never experience comfort. All we have is discomfort. All we are is uncomfortable. And it's clear time and time and time and time again that when we are killed, that when we have systems that are oppressing us, that when we are at the bottom of the barrel, all the white people at the top are still comfortable. They are still comfortable. I have never experienced comfort. Meanwhile, they have always been comfortable. When it comes to the Second Amendment, that makes white people feel comfortable, right? They can have their gun just in case anybody breaks in their house before the break of dawn, comes and intrudes on them, wakes them up from their sleep. That's why they have the Second Amendment, to protect themselves in that scenario. But here we have a young black man who did exactly what he was trained to do, who used his weapon the way that it was supposed to be used for his protection, not to endanger anybody recklessly, which is what we see with his training, with his trigger finger not on the trigger. We see him being kicked out of a bed. First of all, they keep saying 9 seconds. They keep saying 9 seconds. How many of those seconds was Amir Locke awake? 2 at most. 2 at most. They said that they announced themselves before they went in. A lie. They say that they have protocols for only one person talking. There was 3 different voices at least, all screaming different things. A lie. They can't sit here and try to justify this anymore. They can't sit here and try to justify this anymore in 2 seconds. Forget that whole 9-second narrative. In 2 seconds, they decided that Amir Locke deserved death.
What kind of gun did he have? What kind of gun did he have?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
He was a registered gun owner. He was a registered gun owner.
What type of tomfoolery question is
He was a registered gun owner. He was a registered gun owner. He had a Second Amendment right to own a gun in this country.
Those bullets are legal.
To exemplify, this white woman is comfortable. This white woman is comfortable. Why are you uncomfortable?
That's her dog. That was her dog called her.
Takes me to my next point. All I have experienced is discomfort. All I have experienced in my life is discomfort. Listen to me. All I have experienced in my life is discomfort. You said you're uncomfortable now. Why? Because we brought that to you. Why? Why? Because we demand equality. We demand equity. The people at the top, they don't give it to us. So the only way that we can be comfortable, the only way that we can get equity is to share our discomfort. So when we pull up on you and make you uncomfortable, that's how I have felt my whole life. That's how black people have felt their whole life.
Listen!
The only way that they will feel and share this discomfort, the only way that we will feel that they will feel and share this discomfort.
Get the fuck out, ho!
Can they get a glimpse of what I want to say. Say his name. 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 What's his name? Scream his name. Scream his name. So all I want to say is exactly this. Black people in this country have been uncomfortable their whole lives. The only way that we can get equality, they've proven it time and time again. They've proven it time and time again. They don't care about giving us equality, equity. The only way we can get that is by sharing our discomfort with them. And that comes with us pulling up. That comes with our fire. Whether figuratively, literally, we need to pull up and let them feel it. Let them feel it. Say his name. Say his name. Scream his name. Scream his name. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check.
Okay, family, let me stop that because I want to make some comments before I segue into my 3 o'clock segment. What's up, family? Please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications, okay? I'm being shadow banned. You guys know I always bring the TR Ruth. I always tell it like a TI is. You know, this is getting out of control and out of hand. I want to share an image of our beautiful brother, Amir Locke, while I share some talking points with you about this case and how we got here. Yet again, the truth of the matter is we never left here, like the sister was just screaming. This is not new and it's not gone away just because you got rid of Potter and Chauvin. You have to understand that the FBI shared in 2006 that the police departments all throughout the country are headed by the KKK. So until you make the KKK a terrorist group, and until you outlaw the execution of freedmen, this is going to be where we live until they, execute us to as few in number as the Indians. And I've got a theory about that I want to share with you. Let me bring up his image because I want it here as a part of this particular segment. Here we go. Well, I thought I had a bigger image than this. Hold on. I wanted that to be bigger. Oh, there it is. Okay. Let me bring this up. Where am I at? Make sure you guys can see me. Interesting. Okay, let me stop that one because I have something else that's better in terms of a visual. Thank you so much for joining this impromptu live. But this is heavy on me, family. It's hard at this time to even allow my daughter to go out and enjoy herself as a youth, as a teen. I get so freaking nervous. I get so nervous just letting her go out to be with her friends. I'm sure my mom was nervous when I was growing up to allow me to go out, but there's nothing more unnerving in this day and age when all of our rights are being dialed back or given away. All of our rights and protections that our ancestors died for. Their blood and bones are in this soil. And I feel less safe for my daughter in 2022 than I ever felt growing up as a Gen X. I feel for our children. It is unconscionable to me that we are back here because the federal government refuses to give us protections. They are still farting around with the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act, and they have yet to do a damn thing about the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. The Democrats are good at overpromising and underdelivering, and I've already shared with you about the very necessary voter strategy for closed border candidates, including Marcel Dixon to replace Kuhn Clyburn in District 6, South Carolina, because the Democrats are the Dixiecrats. And it is evidenced by the fact that nothing's different with the way they continue to execute us. Let me get into a couple of things real quick. Nothing's different. Now, you have to understand that Erie Blackfire was asking, why does this continue to happen to us? Well, this is my theory. I believe, as in California, where we've gone from 17 to probably around 3%, honestly. When you think about the cost of living here in California, I don't believe that we're 6%. I believe that number is inflated. I also know that it includes Black immigrants who are 300 times or greater more liquid than freedmen here in Southern California. In Northern California, the Asians and the whites run it. We've been pushed out. We've been gentrified out. And now they're making Spanish a requirement just to get a job interview. So I'm here to tell you that we're probably around 3%. But I'm noticing a trend here, and it's very, very frightening. And I'm sure people will say she's just a conspiracy theorist. But I'm looking at how we've gone from 17 to 3%, and now they want to talk about reparations. I'm feeling like that's akin to my answer to Erie Blackfire. Thank you so much for joining the live. Thank you, Tanya Princess Jones, for joining the live. And for those of you who are on Facebook and Twitter, I thank you for joining the live. He was asking me, why is this happening? And my third eye tells me that they will not pay reparations until we are as few in number as the Indians. When you think about Evanston, where they brag about the first reparations being paid out, you have to understand that Evanston, Illinois is predominantly Black immigrant. About 16 people benefited from what I have deemed a housing voucher for a down payment on homes and home repairs. About 16 people benefited. The median home price is around $325,000, and the median income is around $38,000. I had to earn $120,000 a year just to qualify for a home loan of $350,000 out here in California. That means that the handful of freedmen in Evanston, because it's predominantly Black immigrant, can't afford to even take advantage of this housing voucher that they want to pass off as reparations. We must make the Democrats pay. And they must know that it was us who made them pay. And I've told you guys a bazillion times that the only people suffering under the boot of oppression when the Democrats are in office are freedmen. I like to socialize my suffering. Everybody should be pissed off the way they were under Trump. Why should they be comfortable? Why should they be comfortable as they receive our reparations and our protections? So that brings me to, let me get to my articles. I've got 2 shows up here, family. Just give me a second while I get through these articles. The 14th Amendment. Okay, let's start there real quick. To answer Erie Blackfire's question, why is this happening to us? Okay, I want to let you know that when the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution was ratified on July 9, 1868, 150 years ago this Monday, it closed the door on schemes that aimed to make the U.S. a white man's country. It was a victory that was a long time coming. The ratification of the 14th Amendment in July 1868 transformed national belonging and made African Americans and indeed all those born on U.S. soil citizens. Isaiah Wares, a veteran of the abolitionist movement, explained shortly after its passage the rights that he and other African Americans expected to thus enjoy. Not only the right to vote and to select representatives, but also the right of residence. The right of residence to remain unmolested in the territory of the nation was urgent in Ware's view. How was it that a right that today many Americans take for granted was so urgently sought in 1868? Black Americans had lived for nearly half a century in a legal limbo. No law defined the rights of people who were no longer slaves. Freedom did not guarantee rights, nor did it make them citizens. Caught in a debate over their status, they lived under the threat of colonization, a scheme that sought to remove them from the nation. By the 1820s, the forces against them were formidable. Colonization societies organized to pressure Black people to relocate to Africa, Canada, or the Caribbean. So-called Black laws imposed restrictions on daily life, regulating work, family, and sociability. The overall objective was removal, or what was variably termed self-deportation, exile, or banishment. Black political leaders explained in 1831 that they were under threat by every artifice to render their situation intolerable here, as to compel them to immigrate. Many state legislators, North and South, were at work making the U.S. a place where Black people had no future. What is different, family, in 2022? Removal relied upon coercion. Oppressive laws aimed to pressure African Americans to resettle elsewhere. Some lawmakers went further and proposed removal by force, threatening former slaves with re-enslavement and compulsory exile if they refused to relocate. Such was the case in 1832. Maryland, when legislator Octavius Taney, brother Supreme Court Justice Roger Taney, proposed a statute that would facilitate the removal of the free persons of color from our state and from the United States. Taney assumed that Black people were not citizens and thus without rights to resist removal. Okay, I just wanted to make sure y'all could hear me. I thought I had my mic mute. Welcome to the live, family. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. African Americans took such threats seriously and with good reason. Proposals for their removal looked a lot like the Indian removal of the 1830s. Black activists understood that tens of thousands of Native Americans had been forcibly relocated from the southeastern U.S., sent west to Indian Territory. During an 1831 convention, they explained how proponents of colonization stood in the same attitude toward our colored population as Georgia does to the Cherokee. If state authorities could relocate Native peoples, the fate of Black Americans might very well be the same. So here you have MPD, fresh off of Dante Wright and Mr. George Floyd, using a key to enter the project housing of this beautiful young Black man, Amir Locke, who can't even defend himself, who's a heavy sleeper like most of us, especially at that age. I remember being able to sleep till noon and not hear a thing. Changed when I become a mother, but I still crash and I still go hard once I finally get rest. Can you even imagine it? Someone sneaking into your home with a key, not a battering ram to alert you. They literally had to kick the couch before he even reached for his gun, which was his right. You didn't even announce yourself. You snuck in on this brother. And so when you think about our removal, it is for gentrification. Do you see the parallel between the executions of our brothers in places that ultimately become brothers, sisters, and children, in places that ultimately become gentrified? Is this not designed to force us out, to scare us, to terrorize us right up out the communities, akin to what they wanted to do when they wanted us to migrate out of the country after using us as the shoes to build all the wealth they currently eat from? What's different in 2022? That's what I'm asking you, family. Back to the text. I'm reading from the Time article. Court rulings only added to a sense of urgency. Most notoriously, the 1857 Supreme Court in Dred Scott v. Sanford had declared that no Black person could be a citizen of the U.S. At stake was Dred Scott's freedom and whether he could sue for it in a federal court. He could not. Chief Justice Roger Taney concluded. But Taney went even further, holding that the Constitution included no protections for free African Americans, thus leaving the individual states at liberty to regulate such people as they saw fit. This gave further license to removal schemes, forced and otherwise. But on one point, Black activists agreed. They were citizens as a matter of birthright. At the 1855 National Colored Convention, delegates gathered as American citizens asserting their rights on their own native soil. They insisted upon birthright. By birth, we are American citizens. By the meaning of the United States Constitution, we are American citizens. By the principles of the Declaration of Independence, we are American citizens. By the meaning of the United States Constitution, we are citizens. This refrain was repeated in conventions, in the Black press, and in pamphlets. Black activists promoted birthright as the standard by which their belongings should be measured. Okay, I'm going to stop that right there because I've got to jump over to this 3 o'clock. But I want you to understand something, family. If your rights are not enforced, you have no rights. And this is why you see what's happening right now. We literally have no protection. We have no friends. We have no allies. And I hope to see you at the next segment in about 1 minute. I've got to end this broadcast because this was just to jump on to share in the frustration of the people who are currently protesting surrounding the execution of this beautiful young man. And my heart was heavily grieved as a mother. And I needed to share with you guys through them my anguish. But we've got to lean in all over the country. I will pick this up in this segment that I'm about to start right now. Peace, love, and reparations, family. Thank you for joining.